Hey, my name is Shelley Cornick, that's a picture of me there, and I am the director of myieltsclassroom.com. And today I would like to take you through the official introduction to the IELTS computer delivered test. Before we start, I just want to make this clear. There is nothing sensitive or secret in the information that I'm about to show you. This is just the official PowerPoint presentation that you will be shown while you are waiting to enter your computer delivered test. So let's begin. So the first slide is obviously just introducing you to the fact that this is an IDP, not a British Council test centre. And on the next page, we have my old centre. And then to begin with, we just have 2 or 3 slides that go through the basic security information. So nothing on these slides should be of any surprise. Obviously, we're not going to take mobile phones into the test or any type of electric device. We're also not going to take any watches because obviously now there are smart watches, and also we're not going to take any personal items. And then obviously what happens if you do that and you're caught? Well, you probably will lose your $200 test fee and you will not be able to sit the remaining tests. So there really is no point trying to cheat in an IELTS exam. Also, to be doubly sure that you're not cheating, everything in the area is monitored by a video camera. I know this for sure because I've been in the room with the computers when I took the practice test, and there are, I think, 2 cameras in our test centre focused directly on each of the test takers. So just be aware that you are being recorded all the time. That's not just for students who are taking the academic VI test for an English visa, that's for all students taking the computer delivered test. So let's get in now to the interesting stuff. First of all, you should be quiet while you are taking the test. I've heard reports that it can sometimes be a bit off-putting when students are all typing at the same time, particularly during the writing part of the test. But in general, while you're in the exam room, you should be quiet. However, never sit there with a question. If you are confused, if you are lost, if you don't know what's happening, just raise your hand. And I promise you an invigilator will come to you immediately. It's just really important that you don't shout out for help. Also, and I think this is important, there are quite strict rules about when you can go to the bathroom in the computer delivered test. So you cannot go to the bathroom while instructions are being given. So that's before the test starts and between the parts of the test. You can't go to the toilet while the log-on details are being given out or collected. The log-on details are unique for each student. So when you enter the room, you need to enter your personal code so that we can connect your performance with your name and you get the right result. You can't go during the last 5 minutes of each test, and you can't go at all during the listening test, which makes sense because number 1, you're going to miss all of the questions, and number 2, you are going to disturb other students. So basically, if you need to go to the toilet, you are going to lose time from your test. I recently worked with a lovely student who was 9 months pregnant, and she said she did need to go to the toilet twice during her test. But I think for most people, this is not recommended. You don't want to lose your time reading and writing going to the toilet. If that means you have to drink less on the morning, or you take a bottle with you and you just start drinking water in the test, do whatever you need to do to be able to stay in that test room for the full 3 hours. Okay, so this is more interesting. So now we've got how the navigation of the computer test works. So what we're looking at is what your screen will look like in the test. You will see at the top, it says the time that you have remaining. Here you can only see the minutes. It says 60 minutes, but if you clicked on that, it would also show you the seconds. I'm not sure if that's important, but it is useful to know. Maybe if you're at the end of the test and there's just 1 or 2 minutes left and you need to understand exactly what you can change in that time. Then we have the help button. Honestly, if I needed help, I would silently raise my hand and ask for it. I would not waste time trying to help myself. So I don't think you will need that button. And in the same way, we have a hide screen button. I have been trying to understand why you would want to use that button, and the only reason I can think of is maybe a student finishes early and they just want to hide the screen and rest while they wait for the next part of the test to start. It's very important to understand that even if you finish early, you cannot start the next part of the test early. Everybody in that room starts and ends each part of the test at the same time. So if you do finish early, maybe go to the toilet or just sit quietly and try to, clear your mind and meditate until you can move forward. We also have a volume button. Now, before the test starts, you have some time to set up your computer so that it matches your needs. You can change the size of the font, you can change the volume, you can even change the color of the background. But it's important to remember that you can change the volume at any time during the test. So if you start the listening test and it's too loud or it's too quiet, just toggle up here and make it a comfortable level for you. All right, now this is important, I think, for the reading test. Lots of students say to me, when I'm practicing on paper, I often underline or highlight key parts of the text or even make notes. Can I do that in the computer-delivered test? And the answer is yes. You just need to right-click, and then you can choose if you want to highlight a section or if you want to add some notes which you can refer to later. So again, you're just highlighting the part of the text that you want to highlight, right-clicking and then choosing highlight or notes. Then at the bottom is maybe the most important part of this page. It's the navigation bar. So this is how you are going to move between parts and questions in the text. As you can see, and I'm going to magnify this for us in a minute, we've got different colours in the questions here. So if you look at questions 1 and 2, these are white. And I tell my students, if it's white, it means it's all right because you have answered these questions. In fact, if you look up here, you can see that the first 2 questions here, the student has already entered some answers. So that's why this is white. 3 and 4 are black. Again, if white is all right, black means go back because 3 and 4 are not answered. As you see, there's the number 3 here and the number 4. That's a clear way of showing that you have not entered any answer for this question. And blue is you. That's where you are at the moment. So as you can see, this box here is also blue. So this student has moved to question number 5. And they've done this by using these arrows. So I think it's going to show us there. Yeah, so 5 is the current question, blue is you, and black, go back. Those questions are unanswered. Now, you may see that number 7 has a circle. This is very important. IELTS has given you the option of marking a question to go back and review. So let's imagine you're trying to find the answer to question number 5. You enter an answer, but you're not 100% sure if it's correct. You can still enter the answer, and then you could just click review. That will turn this into a circle. So you can see they've already put review for question 7. This is really important because it makes it easy for you at the end of the test to go back and check the questions you found difficult or you're not 100% sure about. If you left everything black, it would be difficult to know, why is it black? Did you run out of time? Did you just have no clue? I think the circle is great if there's a question which you think you can answer if you just had a little bit more time. And yeah, you just click this while you're on the question. So if you wanted to mark question 5 for review, you just click that and this would become the black circle. Now, this next slide is not part of the official presentation. I've just added that because I just wanted to make this really clear. So white, that's all right. You've answered this. Black, 3, 4, all of the rest of the questions, go back. You haven't attempted those. Blue is you, that's where you are. And anything with a circle is what you have marked for review. During the test, you do not have to go through each question number by number. Some students in reading, for example, like to start with part 3 because that's the most difficult part of the test. You can do that. You just need to click on question number 27 and you can go directly to part 3. There is nothing saying you have to go in order. As for the writing test, one of the fantastic things about taking the computer delivered test is that you are able to quickly edit your work. And it might be a bit strange. When you're editing, you can highlight, but you can't right click to use the menu as you would on a Microsoft or an Apple computer. All you can use are these shortcuts. Now, these are the common shortcuts that you find on any keyboard, but if you don't know them, please learn them now. If you want to cut something, it's Control X. If you want to copy it, maybe you want to move a sentence from one paragraph to another paragraph, that's Control C, and then paste is Control V. And if you want to undo anything, right, if you type a sentence and you just think, this is rubbish, I want to go back, Control Z. And if you change your mind again and you want that sentence back, Control Y. These shortcuts are absolutely vital. I think 90% of you will already know these. I use these every day when I'm typing on my keyboard. But if you don't, please learn those now. All right, so now we come to the different types of questions. And the key thing to remember is that in terms of testing your language ability, the questions in the computer delivered test are exactly the same as the paper-based test. So in terms of your performance, what we are checking, everything is exactly the same. The only difference is the format that we are testing you in. So in the paper-based test, we have matching questions. Here on the computer, for these matching questions, they may be easier because all you are doing is clicking and dragging the answers into the correct space. So if you think that Mary Brown is responsible for kids counselling, you would just click here and pull this into question 12. I think this is fantastic. I think everybody has used this before. I don't think it will cause any problems. The second type of questions are gap fill questions, or what they sometimes call text entry. This is where you are missing a word or words. Always check in the instructions how many. Again, you're just either going to click on this and then type your answer, or you can navigate on the navigation bar using those 2 arrows. Multiple choice is extremely easy here. In the paper-based test, we have to choose A, B, or C and write that down. Here, you just need to click which one you think is correct. Obviously, there are some multiple choice questions where more than one answer is required. Here, it clearly says which 2 things does Susanna say about herself. So now you're going to be able to click 2 of these boxes, not 3, just 2. So I think until this point, everything is very logical, very intuitive. If you sat down and just started doing these questions with no explanations, I don't think you would have any problems at all understanding how to answer these questions on the computer. However, when the computer delivered test first arrived at my old test centre, they very kindly let me go to do a practice test just because I was interested how it worked. And during that practice test, I did become confused at this type of question. So here we have a map, and I guess we are asked to find 4 different places on this map. So we've got different letters here, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now, when we have these questions in the paper-based test, they look a little bit different. So I've added this slide just to show you how things change. So if you're used to practicing matching activities in the Cambridge books, what usually happens is you have a box which contains the possible answers, and then your job is to listen and match the things that you hear with one item in the box. And usually what happens is, for example, maybe the first part of the presentation, historical background, is going to involve other students. So you would just here involve other students, and then here you would write C. However, in the computer-based test, I didn't understand, why have I got boxes for each of the answers here? I know that the answer is C. How do I write it? Well, you don't write C. All you do is just click on this box here, and that will put an X in C. So visually, this is very different, but what you are doing is exactly the same. So rather than writing C here, you're just going to click on C here. In the same way, if you hear that geographical factors are going to focus on one example, in the paper-based test, you click on F, but here in the computer-based test, you're just going to click here and this X will appear. I don't know why I found this very confusing when I was doing the test. Maybe because I was trying to listen and it just wasn't the same as what I've been used to for 15 years. So it did confuse me slightly, but this was the only thing that I found difficult. So I think having seen this now, hopefully this will help you and you won't be confused like I was in this part of the test. That's really, I guess, the most important information. Then we come on to maybe some sort of obvious stuff. It's important that you put your answers directly onto the computer. There is no separate sheet for answers for reading or for listening now. Everything is directly entered. Actually, the one big difference between the paper-based listening and the computer-delivered listening is that at the end of the test, you only have 2 minutes to check your answers when you are on the computer. Maybe that makes sense because, in the paper-based test, you are physically writing down every answer. But in the computer-delivered test, all of your answers should already be stored. All you need to do in the final 2 minutes is go back and check any questions you marked for review, or maybe have a look at the answers and just check your spelling. But you're not spending time now physically writing each answer on a writing sheet. Also, there is a notepad on the computer that you can use to make notes and outline your writing task. That's a good idea because you can copy and paste those notes later into your essay, report, or letter. But remember how I told you you're given individual login details? Those are given to you on a piece of paper and you will have a pencil. So if you like making notes by hand, or in the listening test, if they're spelling something, if you want to write that down by hand, that is still possible. Okay, and that then reaches the end of the test. If you have any questions, you could go and ask one of the friendly IDP staff members. Actually, there is audio which goes with this, and that continued for a short time. And so I've just made a note of what extra information you may hear on that audio. So some of it we've already discussed. Again, you cannot take any personal items into the room with you. All you can take is your passport, your ID, and water in a transparent bottle. Importantly, your passport and ID must always be on your desk. I don't know why, maybe sometimes the invigilator will just come and check again during the test. When you sit down in the test room, they give you some time to get comfortable. So adjust your screen, change the chair height, put on the headphone covers. There are little separate headphone covers for every test, so you don't have to put on some disgusting headphones that another student has sweated into. So make sure you're comfortable before the test starts. And I know it's difficult, but you're not allowed to talk to other test takers before, after, or between the sections of the test. So if you get a horrible reading test, even though I guess you're going to really want to, when it's finished, say, "Oh, that was terrible," just hold it in until you leave the exam room. And obviously, you may not take any test material out of the room. I guess it's going to be difficult to take the computer. What that means is you can't take your login details or any of the pieces of paper that you made notes on. Do not switch off or restart the computer at any time. I have no idea why you would do this. If there is some type of technical error, just put up your hands. I am sure if you turn off the computer, you will lose your test fee. So that would be $200 gone. Interestingly, don't unplug your headphones or click on anything until you are told to do so. I guess that's to make sure that everybody starts at the same time. As we said, every section has a different log-on sheet. That to me just means you're going to get 3 pieces of paper that you can use for notes. This one is important. This is not in the official presentation, but I want to give you this advice. Lots of students email me each month and say that they felt something was wrong with their test. Maybe the speaking examiner didn't give them long enough to speak. Maybe they couldn't hear the listening properly. I don't know. There could be a number of different problems. If you have any complaint, you must make it before you leave the test centre. I promise you this will not affect your score. The examiners will have no idea that you complained. And if there is a problem, it's really important that you report it so that it can be fixed. Once you leave, that can't happen, and I'm afraid whatever your result is will stand unless you ask for an EOR. So I encourage you, if you feel there is a problem, please, please, please complain. And this is something I would never have thought about, but if you are a lovely left-handed student, please ask for a left-handed mouse before the test starts, or you're going to be in lots of trouble trying to click the right box. But that is a great thing that they have thought about this and they provide this, so definitely do it if you need one. And finally, if you are watching this and you just don't know if you want to sit the computer delivered test or the paper-based test, then I encourage you to go to my blog, which is blog.myieltsclassroom.com, and there it's in the general advice section, so you can just click on the menu and find general advice. There I go through the pros and the cons of each. Some people like the paper test, some people like the computer test. Maybe the biggest difference is the time it takes for your results to arrive. It's just a couple of days often for the computer-based test compared to 2 weeks for the paper-based test. But in any case, if you just want to know a bit more information about what's best for you, then that's the place to be. blog.myieltsclassroom.com. All right, I hope you found this useful. Again, a massive thank you to LT Pro in St. Petersburg, my old IDP test centre. There's no difference though between IDP and British Council. Just find a test centre whose staff is as kind as Kate for giving us this presentation. I'll catch you soon. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you found the content useful, please click like to help the channel, and don't forget to subscribe for new lessons every Friday. Plus, you can find more expert content at www.myieltsclassroom.com.